Simon Martz is with us. It occurred to me last time he was here that we should get him on as much as we can while he's in the country, which is only for 2 or 3 more days. But while I have you, every day there is something else to talk about. You alerted us to the fact that Donald Trump, having promised that the ballroom he wants to build at the White House would have no impact whatsoever on the architectural status quo, as it were. It wouldn't involve any demolitions or destructions or any particular changes to what was already there, which is why when I opened social media this morning and saw some reports from America, Rachel Maddow, the inimitable Rachel Maddow actually was the one most exercised by it. I presumed it was a joke I didn't get, and that the images I was looking at must have been either doctored or exaggerated.
No, they are absolutely astonishing. I mean, it is an incredible act of cultural vandalism against a protected historic landmark, and it has been done without planning permission, without the necessary consultation having been finalised, after the president and his spokeswoman Caroline Levitt insisted that the plans to build this 90,000 square foot ballroom at a cost of $250 million being funded by a very opaque group of individuals and businesses whose identities we may never learn, was not going to require any of the existing White House structure to be touched at all. And in fact, if you look at those pictures, the wrecking crew has laid waste to a substantial portion of the east wing of the building, which is the wing of the building traditionally used by First Ladies. Melania Trump doesn't spend any time there because she's hardly ever at the White House. But it has been the preserve of First Ladies going back all the way to 1902, and basically a substantial chunk of it is now gone. Now, yesterday, the White House put out to all of us this very long screed explaining the entire history of reconstruction at the White House, and numerous presidents have engaged in acts of remodeling and reconstruction, including famously Harry Truman in 1950, who saved the building from collapse because it was so riddled with rot. And they attached to that press briefing lots of pictures where you see the White House,
Well, there's a lot of development work in Brentford at the moment, Simon. I don't know if you've had the chance.
But it was all done with permission. That's the extraordinary thing.
Yes, and this is not. They've just taken in the wrecking balls.
But the reason gone for it.
I mentioned Brentford is they're knocking down tower blocks in the way that you can see people's sitting rooms.
Right,
and that's
exactly.
what it looks like.
And that's what it looks like when you do that kind of construction.
So no exaggeration, no embellishment, no photoshopping. They're just smashing the place up. I'll tell you who's going to be really cross about this. Given the assault upon, as you say, history and tradition and protected landmarks, all the people that got very exercised when they were taking down statues of racist slavers. They're going to be furious about this, aren't they?
Yes, well,
absolutely livid.
Absolutely.
Unstoppable in their fury and their complaint. You mentioned money. The figure that is being spent on this is not a million miles away from the money that he's demanding now from his own Department of Justice. How does that work?
Only about 20 million in it, yes. So we have learnt that Donald Trump has now filed 2 administrative actions. These are not lawsuits, but they are requests for compensation. One relating to what he describes as the Russia hoax, where he says that his rights as an individual were infringed by the FBI. That's a $130 million claim. And the second claim is for $100 million, so total of $230 million, over the investigation that was launched into his alleged mishandling of classified documents. You'll remember that he carted box loads of documents away.
You still have to say alleged? I saw pictures of them in his toilet.
Because we don't, it's never been proven in court that they were mishandled.
Is then, Simon. Alleged it is.
But they were absolutely carted off to his bathroom at Mar-a-Lago. Yes. So he's claiming $230 million in compensation. And it is now going to fall to his mates to adjudicate whether he gets it. The Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, was his personal lawyer defending him in those cases. And so we now...
He now decides whether he gets the money or not.
He is on the panel that will now decide. And, of course, every single person involved in making the decision is a Trump appointee. He says, in a marvellous quote, he told CNN last night that if he gets the money, he's going to give it to charity or something.
All I know is that they would owe me a lot of money, but I'm not looking for money. I'd give it to charity or something.
I think the or something there is
I know
doing
where
a lot
I'd
of
put
work.
my money on that if it were a wager, and it ain't the charity. And it also occurred to me last time we saw you that we don't know quite enough about the shutdown that has. I mean, some people are being paid. Presumably, the construction workers at the White House are being paid, and various other sort of Trump loyalists and cronies are being paid, and members of the so-called ICE organisation that's scooping people up off the streets for the crime of looking a little bit foreign. They will all be paid, but a lot of the government infrastructure is in shutdown.
Yes. And we're now into, the second full week of this shutdown, with no immediate end in sight, although Republicans appear to be getting slightly nervous now that they've got to pass a continuing resolution to provide some funding for government operations. I'm bound to say that as someone who is flying back to the United States at the end of the week, I was rather perturbed to see that air traffic controllers are not going to be paid. So one has to rely on their commitment to the task, because they won't get their money until the furlough is over, and then they'll get back pay.
Wow.
But also this shutdown has seen tens and tens of thousands of federal workers being made redundant and being told that your job is complete. I mean, we're seeing yet more layoffs at the Department of Education, which of course he's determined to shut down fully, because why on earth would you need a Department of Education? It's not as though schooling is particularly vital to any society's future. So I think that they will eventually have to come back to pass some kind of continuing resolution to keep basic funding going. But Donald Trump is relishing this shutdown. His first president ever who actually thinks it's a positive to shut the government down, because it gives him the capacity to expand his own powers, continue to test the limits of those powers if there are any, and cancel government programs that matter to his political opponent.
And inevitably, there's a clip doing the rounds of him saying that when there is a shutdown, it's all the president's fault. But I mean, these things have ceased to matter
when it was
somebody else's presidency.
In my opinion, I hear the Democrats are going to be blamed and the Republicans are going to be blamed. I actually think the president would be blamed. If there is a shutdown, I think it would be a tremendously negative mark on the president of the United States.
In a sentence, what is the cause of the shutdown? What is
total polarization of politics in the United States, and a complete failure by either party to compromise. So
there's an Epstein angle.
Well, there is an Epstein angle here, because there's an Epstein angle in the sense that for as long as the shutdown is taking place, the Speaker of the House of Representatives is refusing to swear in a Democrat who will end up being a very important vote on the Oversight Committee when it comes to trying to force Donald Trump to release all of those Epstein documents, and potentially when it comes to issuing an invitation to Prince Andrew to come and testify before the committee. So perversely, the shutdown actually might be helping Prince Andrew a little bit, and it's certainly helping Donald Trump, because it means that Oversight Committee is not meeting, is not voting, and is not forcing the release of all of these Epstein documents.
But it's not gone away, the Epstein.
No, it's never going to go away. It's not going to go away because until it's out there. His grassroots care passionately about this, whatever the documents show. I mean, if they show bad news for him, he'll blame it on the Democrats and say they faked the documents and concocted it all.
They're not going to rest until they've seen.
But the issue's not going away.
And now, of course, his political enemies have joined the clamour for them to be released. Simon, always a pleasure. Thank you.
James.
I don't think it'll be the last time we see you before Saturday, but if it is, bon voyage.